Hi, I'm Vanessa from Judy Garland Estate, and today we're at the Lumiere Awards, and I would love to introduce Mr. Scott Hedley from the Judy Garland exhibit. Scott, would you like to share with us what you have on display today?
Sure. Today I brought 4 different costumes all the way from New York City. Very, very excited to share them with you today. I'm going to start with this one over here.
Okay.
It's very exciting. It's from Life with Judy Garland, Me and My Shadows, which is 25 years old, surprisingly.
Oh my gosh. I was there when that was filmed. I'm sorry. When you said 25 years, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. This is a replica of a Thorpe costume that was initially used in The Wizard of Oz. And Tammy Blanchard wore it in Life with Judy Garland, Me and My Shadows. And she won an Emmy Award for that performance, which is pretty fantastic, I think. You can kind of see what Judy looked like in that costume. She had a blonde wig versus the brunette one that we know and love to this day.
So the look's kind of coming together. We have some hints of the gingham. This is a little more similar to the final look.
Yeah.
As opposed to this testing
There's other ones. They didn't like it. They didn't like that footage. They scrapped it. They rejected it. And then they went and they were like, let's try some pink.
Oh my gosh. So they went this first. And
this was the final one. And then they're like, let's see if the pink is going to work out. I don't know. It looks a little funkier. It's a lot of fun, but probably not what you think of as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, right?
No.
No, not exactly.
Wow, this is definitely not Dorothy.
There's another version that they tried. It was an apron, also rejected. They didn't like this one as well. And this is probably one of the cooler pieces. This is a Wicked Witch costume. The blouse was worn by Betty Danko, which was Margaret Hamilton's double in the film. So the blouse is real. And then we had some of the other pieces recreated to kind of fully visualize the entire look of everything.
So the blouse is from 1938.
It's from 1938.
Wow.
And it was used in the production of the original Wizard of Oz film.
It's in such wonderful condition.
It really is. Yeah. And because she was, a stunt player, she was up on the broom. After Margaret Hamilton, she had damage to her face and her hands because of that terrible fire.
Yes.
Betty Danko, she decided to do some of those stunt scenes. So this was created for her. It doesn't have all that ornamentation on it. So when you look at Margaret Hamilton, there's a lot of ornamentation on her sleeves.
Yeah.
You notice this one's a little plainer, and that's because they didn't put all that effort into a lot of the stunt player costumes. So it's made a little bit simply to save the costumer's time.
Do you know any specific scenes that we may catch this blouse in?
So it's not final. You can't see it in one of the final cuts, but I personally believe because it's made out of a different material, it's more of like a silk and it's shiny. I think it was used in the skywriting sequence.
Oh, that's really cool.
Against one of the blue backdrops. So it's kind of fun. It would pop a little bit against that blue background. Very sad story about Betty Danko, which I've heard is when she was on that smoking pipe, it actually exploded when she was on the wires, and she kind of went flying and got a 3-inch gash on her leg. There's a lot of injuries.
So many war wounds for the Wizard of Oz.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But we all love the movie, of course, and it's very endearing to this day. So
yeah, none of those injuries were in vain, huh?
No, and it didn't tear up the costume, thank God. I feel bad for Betty Danko, of course, but we're lucky to have the surviving piece of costume, and
it's
here
incredible
to share it with people today.
Piece of history right here,
Yeah.
And what do we have over here?
All right, I wish these were the real ones because the real ones are worth, what, $35 million, I think they sold last year.
They're probably just going up and up, so yeah.
Yeah, and you got to see the originals, I think a couple months ago at the Academy Museum, which was absolutely beautiful.
It was sensational. It was such an honor, but I'm not kidding, when I was in there, I joke about it, but it was almost like the shoes did have magic powers that just kept like drawing you back to looking at them, and the sequence, how they would catch the light in different ways, and you were just, and just to know the history of them, and obviously for me, who wore them is the most important, and imagining her just being in them is, what's most important to me, but also understanding the importance of her character as Dorothy in the history of the Wizard of Oz. So these are some really cool replicas, though.
Thank you so much.
They're
I can't
beautiful.
imagine what an important and special moment that was for you to be able to see those shoes.
It's surreal. It always puts in perspective, I guess, just who she was in her in her career. You know, to separate her, you know, from my grandmother, and then to really just throw myself into understanding all of her body of work always is. It's a beautiful thing for me to, you know, think about and to see a real prop or real piece of one of her most important iconic costumes, and how well they're preserved and how much people care about them to preserve them the way that they do is absolutely incredible. And I hope that they're here for, you know, decades and decades to come to inspire filmmakers and actors and give people hope. So
yeah, they literally touch lives, which is amazing. So while they're not the real things, you know,
they represent them.
They represent them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on our Fan Feature Friday. We really appreciate it. This was so special, and I know everyone's going to love the opportunity to see this. So.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime.
Thank you.
And guys, don't forget to tag us so that we can share all of your beautiful collections and artwork and tributes that you have for my grandmother. And we would love to share those on our Fan Feature Friday. So keep tagging us.